Hi, it's Chris Watkin here, and I'm with Damon and David from Brief Your Market. Guys, why the hell should I buy Brief Your Market when I can get SurveyMonkey and Mailchimp for free?
Yeah, Brief Your Market is linked into your local CRM system, so consequently we can keep parity of data, making sure that all data that's inside a database is true and accurate, and also then we can really unlock the power of the data by triggering off key individual dates to drive relevant, timely communications, therefore creating a much higher customer service.
David?
So I think it's fair to kind of draw some comparison to different products in the marketplace, but from my experience, Brief Your Market is in a class of its own in terms of the functionality that it provides, particularly to the property sector. So the business has been around for about 10 years. The people that run it or are involved in it are people steeped in estate agency experience. So they understand what estate agents want, they understand the transaction process from both a buyer and a seller's point of view, and the whole Brief Your Market product has been tailored for exactly that process to ensure our customers get the best they possibly can out of the data.
Okay, so on average, Brief Your Market costs around £250–300 a month. SurveyMonkey and Mailchimp are free. You've given me some nice groovy words there, chaps, but in cold hard cash, what difference does Brief Your Market make to an estate agency?
Yeah, fortunately, because we're in digital marketing, we can actually prove all the return on investment. We atypically 5x our customers' return, and we've written a bespoke ROI report just for property that lists every campaign, every click-through, every call to action across all the journeys, so you can actually truly see the return on investment you're getting for your money.
I mean, I know a lot of people in the industry, and I've got a lot of clients that use Brief Your Market. Some say it's really, really good, and some say it's an overpriced Mailchimp.
Yep.
Why do you think some people say it's really good, and some people say it's quite, a Ferrari in a Fiesta in Ferrari clothes?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think when you've got a big system like Brief Your Market is, that's intrinsically bound into your local CRM system, that people believe that it's just going to do it for you. And actually you've got to invest some time, like you have in any marketing strategy. What we've realised as a business being 10 years in heritage is that we had to truly understand all those customers, that myriad. And therefore we've developed further technology to address people who don't have a dedicated marketing team and who don't want to have a structured marketing strategy. And therefore we've started to write content for people that's automatically in campaign libraries that they can drag over, which we know are successful by utilising information from the system. And also, even if that's too much of a challenge, then we have a dedicated managed marketing service where we'll do it all for you with all our understanding of the estate agency sector. And I'm not saying we take any control away from the customer. They still approve the content, and we don't do any sends, but we do all the heavy lifting for them to make sure they get the best out of the product.
David, why do you think estate agents are intrinsically big picture people and not necessarily micro in terms of their minutiae of doing the day-to-day thing? Why is that?
I think they've had a lot coming at them, haven't they, over the last 2 years. There's been successive waves of legislation coming through which has increased the compliance burden and the administration, the amount of administration they've got to do. I think at the same time the market's been contracting, so that's made life even more difficult.
But why do you think they get bored of the minutiae little things? Whilst letting agents, they love the detail, don't they?
Yeah, they do. I think it's very interesting because there's a mix of different types of clients that Brief Your Market has. Some people grasp the system and use it almost daily, and some people get the system and use it fairly rarely. And you talked about the usability of the system and its comparison to other providers. I think if you pick up any system and use it very infrequently, it's quite difficult to understand it. So I think I don't think all agents are not into detail. I think lots of them are very into detail. and we've got some great examples of that in Brief Your Market. Can I come back just to a moment to the question you posed about the difference between BYM and why people would pay for that service, whereas they can get other services for free? So I think a real good example of Brief Your Market and why it's different would be the GDPR regulations that came along. So there's a lot of scaremongering, a lot of myths around that. So
people were deleting their mailing lists, weren't they?
Absolutely. I mean, we saved a lot of businesses a lot of time and trouble. They were going to delete all their database, and that would have been a disaster for them and put them at a real competitive disadvantage. And Brief Your Market were instrumental. We had over 2,000 people attend our free GDPR roadshows all the way north, south, east and west of the United Kingdom.
So would it be fair to say with Brief Your Market is that the more you put in, the more you actually get involved with it, the better you'll get out from it?
Yeah, 100%, Chris. I think, like I say, any software, Excel's always a really good example of that for me. You can use Excel in its most primary function, or you can use it in its most complexity. So any software you have to invest in. What Brief Your Market's really agonising over at the minute, really driving, is how we make it easier and easier and easier. And a good couple of examples of that is making sure we can automate as much as we can inside the system by automating key journeys, which we know are really, really successful. Next year, we're going to be looking at some AI technology. So we completely appreciate that people's time is going to get less and less, and resource is going to get scarcer and scarcer inside agency. And we want to drive as much automation as we can. Because what we do know is when you use Brief Your Market, you get phenomenal results. And we've got so many case studies inside our business where people are actually achieving phenomenal activities.
Maybe in the next video we could talk about the future of BYM and the sort of stories and the successes that agents are getting from using the BYM, using it as a Ferrari, not as a Fiesta.
Yeah, absolutely love to, Chris.
Lovely, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you.
thanks, Chris.